Definitely been a long time fan. I'm a
Well,
long time fan of battle rap, and you know, but we could talk about all that. Let me know when you guys want to get started, like officially. I don't know how you guys got it working.
I'm gonna crack open the Jameson in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always nice to talk to Webby with a little bit of Jameson in your cup.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's important. We're gonna have a little doobster. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna talk about some things, shoot the shit. We're gonna talk about your time at Hofstra. Out there on Long Island. I know some people that went out there.
No doubt.
Good school, good herb out that way. Real good shit.
Yes.
I definitely want to talk to you about a whole lot of things, man, but I'm not, going to preliminary it a whole lot, man. I'm just glad to have you, man. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, we're almost on episode 100 of this thing, man. And,
wow.
And we started at my homeboy's garage, we wanted to build a studio. I have a lot of paranoia issues, like when it comes to recording with people and trusting people with my music and shit, because people will leak your shit. You feel me?
It's true. It's true. You got to have your secure circle, of people that, you send things to, because it's important to make sure you got your system in place. So you make sure you got your bars guy, your vibe guy, all these different people who give you critiques and let you know what's going on. Because sometimes you'll be working on your own shit and you think it's hot, but then you got to get the opinion of other people sometimes too to weigh in and keep you in the right direction.
So look, man, we're just gonna jump into it and shoot the shit for as long as you allow me to shoot the shit with you. You know what I'm saying?
Sounds good. I got 64% battery on my laptop, so we good.
Well, that's what's up, man. I first want to tell you, like, back around 2010, I was up in New Jersey. I was up in a place called Plainfield, New Jersey, right? And this cat I know, he calls himself Free. He was like, yo, you got to hear this kid, Chris Webby. He's fucking awesome. You know what I'm saying? He's doing his thing out there in Connecticut. Like, all right, well, and I'm the type of dude, like, if I'm meant to hear somebody, then I'll hear them at some point. Like, if you play it, you know what I'm saying? I don't go out seeking shit. You know what I'm saying? So then I hear this DJ Drama hosted mixtape. How was that? Talk to me about Drama.
Bars on me, yeah.
Bars
yes,
on me.
I have a Gangsta Grills mixtape. That is definitely a pretty cool thing to have on the in the catalog. And that was I was staying down in Atlanta quite a bit at a time, working with T.I.'s manager. Mm-hmm. I've been through so many different phases and points in my career to lead me to kind of this extremely independent place that I'm at now. But I was spending a good amount of time in Atlanta and connected with Drama, and we made the mixtape happen. Had to wait till he was free, and then we got in the studio together. He put his little all his sound effects and all the shit on it to make it official, and we sat there, did that together. I remember the computer wasn't working for a good couple hours. I was getting nervous, I was just like, fuck, dude, he was getting antsy, but that
happened,
yeah, it all worked out though. And now I got a Gangsta Grills mixtape, back in the days of Dat Piff, which were glorious days, very important days for my rise, and the reason that I'm here. Obviously I feel like a lot of kids these days aren't as familiar with Dat Piff. It's not the hub for music that it once was, but I'll always have love for Dat Piff, man. I was the first person to ever crash Dat Piff too.
You did it twice.
Yeah, I did do it twice, but being the first, man, that was cool because I remember KP, who is one of the owners of Dat Piff. He called me, and he was just like, bro, I've never seen anything like this. I thought my website was getting hacked, by some sort of Asian hackers or something out there, shutting the site down. But it was so many people trying to download my mixtape at one time. It was the first time he'd ever done it. And he had to get an entirely new server to run Dat Piff from that point forward after my fans shut it down like that. So even though it did crash other times, that first time that I crashed it, I literally broke his website. He had to get a new server entirely, which is pretty crazy. But that's the kind of fans that I have, man, and I'm very lucky to have this cult diehard following that will ride with me, till the end, which is beautiful. And it's kind of always been that way. It's grown, but all organically,
Yeah, I mean, I dig it, man. And so you had the best of both worlds, man, because I was doing a little bit of reading, to try to prepare a little bit for the interview. I was talking to people. I've been a fan ever since, I want to say, right before the first Wednesday album dropped. There's the joint
Right.
before that. Anyway, it's really fucking dope. It's where you have the cipher where you pull up at the Taco Bell and you're ordering all the
Oh,
tacos.
chemically imbalanced. Yeah, where we
Yes,
had all the
chemically imbalanced.
interludes. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. That's my shit. So like, talk to me about what it's like to be the son of a teacher and a guitarist, because that's the best of both worlds if you think about it.
Yes. And I am a very distinct mix of both parents. You know, obviously I have the musical creative element to my brain, you know, the spaciness and that all the things that come along with that. But then I also have this administrative side, you know, which I never really worked on until I got older and realized like, hey, I got to run my own business. Like I got to be the
Right.
boss. Which I wasn't for most of my career, you know, up until right around the Wednesday series, like you're talking about, you know, I was kind of just a space cadet. I was in the studio making music. I was hitting the stage performing. But in terms of the business, the money and everything, I had nothing to do with it. And I didn't want anything to do with it until you realize like, oh shit, I should know because, you know, shit's getting fucked up. Then hit like a little rock bottom from there. And then that teacher side where, you know, the micromanaging of many different things. It's crazy too, man, because I have ADHD like pretty bad, you know, and you know, that's a gift and a curse in its own right, because while I can't multitask on so many different things, I can hyper focus on any one thing. And that's kind of how I approach things. Like right now with this interview, like this is Chris Webby hyper focusing here doing this, you know, when it's time to make a call about merch or whatever, I'm hyper focused on that call. But if someone tries to talk to me from, you know, across the room, that'll throw my whole focus off. So it is a gift and a curse, and you learn ways to deal with it, man. I got my to-do list is like fucking the longest document I've ever seen in my life, but it keeps me on point, and I never forget things like I used to, you know?
You know, it's funny you say that about hyper focusing, because I'm the same way, and I didn't notice what it was for years. I just thought that I was easily distracted, and what it turns out to be is that I can only focus on one thing at a time, and it has to be that thing. Like if I'm recording a verse or if I'm laying down a hook, and then somebody even just walks into the studio, if I even hear the door open, then I immediately just turn off and then go in that direction.
And I mean, dude, when it comes to freestyling, that's like, you know, I feel like if you have ADD and this ability to hyper focus, that puts you at a strong advantage when it comes to freestyling, because freestyling is just like, I mean, you know, it's crazy how the brain just functions while you're doing that. It's like your body goes into autopilot and your brain just fires off all this shit, and you're just so focused. A lot of times I'll close my eyes, I won't even know what I'm saying. I mean, I don't freestyle like I used to, you know what I mean? I've become bogged down with making so much music and you know, running the business and everything. But back in the day, freestyling was my shit. And I think that the ADHD actually was a huge benefit to being able to do that, you know?
I actually think you might be onto something there, because what I'll tell you is before I remember when I was, you know, a kid around 12, 13, and I was freestyling, I was okay. But then when I got introduced to weed, when I started smoking pot a lot, right? It sort of helped my mind to kind of slow down and put things into a different type of perspective. You know what I'm saying? Sort of like Adderall does for some people. Like, it allowed me to not think so jumbled up and all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And at the same time, you know, my brain is like an organized mess, you know? It's totally scattered in a million directions, but I know where everything is, you know, and that's the key. And just like everybody, you just got to learn to deal with the hand you're dealt and use it to your advantage. You know what I'm saying? That's all there is to it. But I think freestyling and ADHD, I think really do go hand in hand, interestingly, you know?
Very interestingly. So like, talk to me about where this Wednesday series came from. I'm going to tell you now. My favorite Wednesday is next Wednesday.
Okay.
But like, there seems to be a theme within those albums, and I don't think a lot of people really pick up on it the way that I do, man. But you can really see a person, you know, a kid from the burbs go from the dark to the light, and then balance it all out in lots of different musical ways, you know. And there's a lot of guitar influence, you know what I'm saying? A lot of really good band influence on that shit. So talk to me about the Wednesday series a little bit.
So to play back to, you know, kind of where we were at, end of the mixtape run, taking over the business myself, kind of definitely at a financial rock bottom, you know, kind of realizing, shit, man, we're 8 years in. I have a handful of maxed out credit cards. I haven't had my taxes done in 5 years, 6 years maybe. And a bunch of money is owed to a bunch of people. And I wasn't aware of any of these things because I was just playing the role of the rapper. Right. So I took 2016 to get all the financial shit straightened out, get my karma right. I put out my last mixtape per se that year, which was Webster's Laboratory 2. And then went into 2017 with a plan where it's like, shit, I should totally have a lot more at this point in my career. But now I'm going to run a 4-year project that is going to be like a fundraiser for me as a person and get my shit right, where I'm going to drop singles all year for 4 years. Wednesday, next Wednesday, Wednesday after next, and this year will be last Wednesday, which honestly, I'm even kicking around the idea of breaking that into 2 parts since this year I've kind of had my hands tied on what I can do because of COVID and all this shit. You know?
I got you in a verse, just saying.
Fuck yeah, dude. Let's get it, dude. And give me a moment on the floor, if you will. I am a huge battle rap fan. I used to tape Freestyle Friday every single week on a VHS, like obsessively. I would never miss a week. So if I was away on vacation, I would have someone go to my house and tape Freestyle Friday for me every single fucking week. So I caught, obviously, when you were on the MTV joint too, I remember that. And then Freestyle Friday, man, it was a big deal for me. Like in my head, like being on Freestyle Friday was like the crown jewel when I was in middle school. I thought that was like everything in the world. Right. So I could tell you, I probably have more episodes of Freestyle Friday than the BET back catalog. You know what I mean? I'm sure I have things taped that they don't even have anymore. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a huge fan, man. And you know, and also you killed it on that joint with Tech a ways back too. That shit was fire.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I could sit here and tell you a lot of things that you killed too, but then we'd be here for hours. No doubt. I just had to, you know, let you know that as soon as I saw that DM, I was like, oh shit, bro, like absolutely down. I fuck with you. I'm glad that you knew it was the real, you know, me, because like not being verified will really get you kind of shut down, and a lot of like people won't even read your DM. So I'm glad that you did. You know what I'm saying? And you picked up.
Yeah, well, you know what led to it was the comment. And I saw the comment and I was like, wait, this is Blind Fury. And then I went there, followed you, saw the DM, boom, boom. You know, here we are.
Well, here we are.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Perfect, man.
So talk to me more about Wednesdays, man.
So, you know, that was the basic game plan. It was kind of understanding that the game is changing, you know, because it was and continues to, but there was a big transition that was happening there between mixtapes and albums kind of being the wave towards singles and streaming being the wave. And I was hesitant to jump on board. And one of my guys, Farley, knocked it into my head finally and was like, listen, man, like, I can't even sit here and watch you make another album. That is not the move right now. You need to drop singles. Yeah. And I didn't want to do it because, you know, I grew up loving albums, you know, going to Sam Goody, getting a CD, listening to it front to back. Like it was such a thing. I just loved it with the skits, and you could tell people really took their time with it. But at the same time, you got to acknowledge what's going on, and singles are what's going on. It has to do with the algorithms, everything. So, you know, what I managed to do is, using this new system where I'm dropping singles all year and then putting out an album at the end of the year, I've managed to get my at least Spotify usership up from about 240K at the beginning of 2017 to the like 1.5 million that it's at now.
That's crazy.
It's very wild, man. It's very wild. And, you know, I went into it with like a solid foundation. You know, a lot of people had known who I was and were fans, you know, here and there. But I just needed to really streamline the operation, you know, and then that also came along with me taking over a lot of the business, or at least being involved in everything that was happening business wise, being in all the conversations. It has driven me insane. It's a lot to deal with, but you know, it's really important to stay on top of your shit. And even though you got a team of people working, you got to make sure you're in the loop if you want things to go your way, at least, you know.
Indeed. So do you play any instruments yourself?
I don't, and you know, I can mess around on piano a little bit. I can play "Blue" by Eiffel 65 pretty well.
Nice.
That's about it. But no, I really fucked up by not learning guitar from my dad. But at the same time, I was just so hyper focused on and obsessed with hip hop that, like, once I discovered that, man, that was everything. And it's so cool being able to get the musical element to a lot of these songs via my dad. My dad comes out and plays guitar with me on stage. It's wild, man. It's super wild. And performing is such a big thing too, you know, and that's one consistent that's been going on for 10 years. And has been a big part of my brand outside of just the music, because the shows, man, that shit is really important. And, you know, that's what keeps people coming back. That's what'll turn a doubter into a believer, so to speak, you know. And I really miss being on stage, being cooped up in this house all fucking 2020, man. This is the longest I've gone without having a show in 10 years by a long shot. So, yeah, man, I was used to, I had 75 shows last year. You know, I was in and out all year. Yeah, man.
I need that kind of schedule, man.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Like, on the one hand, I'm appreciating the rest that it's given me, because it is it takes a toll on the body and mind, man, being out there. But you get out there, man, you just flip a switch, and it's like, you almost don't even want a day off once you really get in the groove, man. You know what I mean? It's like you want to just keep going. And there's no better feeling than being on stage. It's something else. I love it. And I miss it. I miss it like a motherfucker right now. But, you know, obviously everybody's dealing with that, you know, so that just is what it is.
I'll tell you this, though. You know, you were talking to me a minute ago about Freestyle Friday, like, and how that is a dream, like, for a lot of people coming up, or it was, you know, back in our day, whatever, when we were coming up, right? I think that being on that stage, there was a lot of pressure for me that came with it, that I totally get what you mean. It drove me damn near crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because
oh yeah, dude. I mean, battling in general, man, that's a whole different ball game than going out and playing your own songs to people who already know them. You know what I'm saying? Like, battling, and that's why I have the utmost respect. I did one of these live streams with Pat Stay. You know, I'm cool with Disaster. There's a lot of battle rappers I've become cool with over the years, and I have so much respect for you guys, because that realm is something that I personally want nothing to do with. I just want to watch it, because I would be terrified to risk it like that. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's so brutal, but it's amazing. It's like watching gladiators. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so entertaining. And I think the realm of battle rap has changed, you know, along with music also. Back, you know, Freestyle Friday, you're rapping over an instrumental, this and that. Like, now it's like 3-minute rounds, like, no beat. This shit is fucking crazy, bro. I can't even imagine the pressure that these people are under. It's
well, that, and see, when you do the 106 and Park shit, they'll give you a list of words that you cannot even say. They're not going to bleep you or nothing.
Put the pressure on you even
more. They
more.
put the pressure on you even more when they say, look, don't say fuck or this or shit, or don't make any drug references. And you're like, well, what the fuck are we battling for? Shit.
Yeah.
I need a blunt. Like, literally, that's what I said.
Yeah, man. No, it's crazy. And also you have the pressure of being on television, you know, which especially back then was a big deal. You know, 106 and Park was a big fucking deal. Yeah. But yeah, man, no, I saw plenty of people get disqualified for using words that they weren't supposed to use. You know, that was like a semi-regular thing that would happen.
Yeah. So, what were your influences? I mean, other than hip hop, because obviously, you know, you're a dope fucking rapper. And if you're anything like me, you don't listen to a lot of new rap because you don't want to sound like any of the competition. You just kind of want to keep your own vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Keep your own way of going.
Very true.
So, like, what do you listen to? What does Chris Webby jam out to?
So, I would say less hip hop than one might expect. Well, if we're being honest, what I mostly listen to is instrumentals because I'm writing constantly.
Yeah.
But when I'm jamming out, like 60s, early 70s soul, you know, like Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, things of that nature. Love that. I love the psychedelic Woodstock era. You know, the Janis Joplins, Jimi Hendrix, all that shit. You know, that's big for me. I like me some System of a Down when I'm trying to get hyped up. You know what I'm saying? That'll definitely get me going. Some Offspring. I like a lot of different shit, man. You know, I really do. And I try to keep open ears, you know what I mean, and not discredit anything. I'm not a big fan of the like EDM-ish stuff. It's like I get it, I understand it, but you know, unless I'm on the right concoction of drugs, it's kind of just doesn't do it for me because
I got you. Yeah.
You know, you kind of take the soul out of it. It's just so electronic.
It's
you
so
know?
electronic and so digital. You're right. I feel what you mean. Yeah. Now, I myself like going to EDM festivals more than I like actual EDM music. Like, I listen.
That makes
to
sense. Yeah.
I listen to EDM to piss off my neighbors. You know, at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I like the festivals more than I like the music. You're absolutely right. You're onto something there. See, you're a lot like me. I think I found a kindred spirit.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
I think we're a lot alike, dude. That's crazy. So like, how did you get started recording your music?
I mean, as you know, it didn't always used to be as easy as it is now.
No, not at all.
You had to like go like mad out of your way to record, and you had to pay like money, and it was like a whole fucking thing. My understanding of making music has obviously changed dramatically over the years. It used to be go to a studio, you know, obviously like you pay to use the studio. I used to just put out the mixes that I would leave the studio with. That was my first handful of mixtapes. We weren't even getting them professionally mixed and mastered. It was literally like what we would end up with that day. That was the song, you know, in the studio, just with like a studio engineer. I would work with a bunch of different engineers, which is not the move. No. The move is to work with one guy, you know, and keep a consistent sound. Now I have it streamlined where I work with like one producer who does all my in-house engineering, and then we send it to one guy who does the final mix master. You know what I mean? And just keep it all in the family as much as possible, just to stay consistent. But I mean, yeah, back in the day, man, you know, driving an hour, going to the city to record, going up to Hartford, up, you know, like an hour away in Connecticut, doing whatever you could. I mean, if you want to take it all the way back, my dad bought me one of those Radio Shack mics that were for like online gaming, you know, playing like
where you sit it on the computer desk. It's like got the little round thing on the bottom.
It was like a little
at the top.
Yeah, it was like a stem with a little thing at the end.
With a little thing. Yep, I know exactly. I had one.
Oh my God, I have no idea where those songs would even possibly be. But I recorded some shit on that. Then it got to the point where I was plugging in a mic into my laptop on Logic and like trying to mix my own shit. It sounded terrible, you know. So there's luckily a lot of this shit was pre, you know, phone cameras and Instagram, all, you know what I mean? So it's like I feel blessed to have been part of the generation where my entire adolescence wasn't documented properly. So that way, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm not super proud of that shit. Although at the same time, you know, you're figuring your shit out. You know, every rapper does. Now it's just everybody's doing it right out in the open.
Right.
But I mean, even if you listen to my earliest mixtapes on Dat Piff, I cringe when I hear them because it's just like I'm trying all these different things. You could tell like the Lil Wayne era. I got all the auto tune on the shit and all. It's like, but you know, you it's all a process, and I think that my fans are so engaged because they've got to watch me grow up from like a very amateur MC to a very professional MC. You know what I mean? And some of these people have been around for the ride for 11, 12 years. And you know, they really, at that point you're in, you know, like you got to watch this all happen and blossom, and you help support it because I am independent. So the people who support me directly keep me in business. You know what I mean? And I am sure to remind them of that all the time. Like I'm all the way independent. I own my masters.
That's important.
You know, everything.
That's
I just had my boy fucking tie-dye a bunch of tank tops, and I'm about to ship them to the warehouse. You know, like we do this shit like very in-house, you know, and if you're able to take an in-house operation like this, to the level that I'm at or beyond, there's a lot of money in it, you know? And it's just about getting there and putting all the money back in every year, or ending up with less money than you started with, you know? And that's just what a lot of these people got to accept is the case. People want this shit to happen overnight, and it's just not like that. Unless you want to sign a record deal and fucking roll the dice, but I wouldn't suggest that in 2020, man, because nowadays the control is in the hands of the artist, and you don't need all the things that you used to need. I am literally living proof of that.
I'm gonna tell you like this, Chris Webby, you're onto something right there, and I'm gonna tell you why. Just this year, me and two of my nearest and dearest, right, put together a company. We call it 3NT Productions, right? And we started building a studio, like I told you, out of my man's garage, like with no budget, you know what I'm saying? No label deal, no management, no none of that shit, you know what I'm saying? And all of the shit is coming from in-house, you know what I'm saying? We got the little machine and the print shit to do the shirts and the fucking stickers and all that shit, you know what I'm saying? And it's really important. You invest in yourself. Like, I mean, like I say, just recently the YouTube, you know what I'm saying, started kind of coming back in a way. So like, you just put all that shit back into your company, man. Cause I mean, if you don't need shit, ain't no need in, you know what I'm saying, taking money and just being stupid with it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have something to live with, to fall back on and all that good shit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, finally, I'm, you know, blessed to be at a point where I can put money away every month towards like future Chris Webby.
Right.
Not even future Chris Webby, for Christian Webster. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what that money is for. That's for me, you know, when all this is done, because you can't, you know, be a rapper forever. Although I think the age limit is changing. And I think that if you transform and continue to reinvent yourself and do it authentically, that, you know, I think the age limit is up there now. You know, I feel like it used to be pretty low. Like, and I think we've watched a lot of rappers that we grew up listening to not transform very gracefully, you know, and I think my generation was able to learn from that quite a bit. So, you know, I think it's just about like staying true to yourself, not letting the money and everything ruin your creative process. Cause that's what we, you know, it's like you see all these artists come up and you're just like, oh man, I fuck with this dude. He's so dope. And then they make the money and they suck. Like how many times does that happen? You know? So it's about keeping that hunger regardless of if you fucking need to be or not. Like you got to stay hungry.
But then you look at cats, and I'm gonna mention a name for you, right? You look at cats like Tech, right? Who will be 50 next year, right? And I mean, what I'm saying is, and that man is still getting out there doing more shows.
Out there, killing it. Still putting out good music.
Putting out music, dancing, fucking on the stage, hour and a half at a time, bro. And sometimes...
Oh, bro, I opened for Tech, man. I was out with them for a couple months, bro. We did like 50 shows, and it was incredible. And every single night, for the most part, unless I got too drunk, maybe a couple nights in there, I would go out, you know, after I cooled down, because I was the opener right before him, and then I would watch the show in the crowd with all the fans, take shots, hang out with all the people, and watch the show, because it was so fucking good. I could watch it day in and day out. Like every single day I would watch the show. And he's so good. So he is an example of the opposing view of what I just said. You know what I mean? He's the example of like, yes, you can do this shit till you're 50. And he is who I tend to use as an example when I'm talking to people about how you can ride this shit into the sunset. You know what I mean? But he's also independent. So, you know, maybe there's something that goes hand in hand with that. And I think that, I think these record labels, man, I think they just burn people out they put a bad taste in their mouth of the whole thing. There's so many fucking, you know, hoops you got to jump through just to get your music out. It's such a pain in the ass that you're competing with the other artists on the roster. Like, fuck all that shit. You know, nothing against them, but I don't fuck with the labels.
I feel you. And see, I don't either, which is what, like,
people, I see friends of mine who have come up with me and they sign deals and you just see them slow down. And it's just like, how are you slowing down? You just signed a big ass deal. Like, this is supposed to be your moment. And meanwhile, I just keep trucking along independently, just chipping my way up the mountain one step at a time, you know?
That's what you got to do, bro. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't do it for yourself, you can't expect nobody else to do it for you, because they're going to do it for them. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And most of these things, bro, that the labels can do, I'm not going to say everything. Like, there are definitely things that the labels have still have a stranglehold on that is really hard to do without a label. But if you hire the right people, you can operate as a label. I have a label. It's called ADHD. You know what I mean? Like that is my imprint. And you know, more than just like a label, it's more of a pipeline that I can offer to other artists because I already built the pipeline. You want to put your oil through it? Come on down. I already got it built. You know, and I have the artist Annoyed from Connecticut. He's the only artist I have currently, and he's incredible, you know, and it's dope seeing him grow. And I mean, a lot of shit got halted because of fucking COVID. I was going to be taking him all over the globe this year, you know, and it's just like, it is what it is, you know, but adapting and adjusting with COVID has been its own thing. You know what I mean? Between battling the fucking mental demons that you can't escape because you're trapped in the fucking house all day. And on top of that, just not being able to make so many of the moves that you would want to make. It's like music videos, touring, fucking all this shit, seeing people, you know, seeing people is really important. You forget, but like, you know, there's certain people that I would see every so often and that they would add a vibe to my life. And that little vibe would therefore spark something that would turn into a song or an idea or, you know what I mean? It's like, and now you kind of just walled off from that. I mean, granted, I've been seeing a few people now who have been safe and shit, but you know, it's just this fucking year, bro. And the whole world is just fucked, bro. It's just fucked. So it's hard to stay positive when literally we're watching the fucking world fall apart like in real time in front of our eyes. You know, it's pretty fucking nuts.
Now, Webby, I have to make the proper joke for you. I've never seen a single person in my life. You're supposed to laugh. It's funny. There you
go. So so you've been blind your entire life?
Yes, I was born blind.
Mm-hmm. So wow, that's got to be something, man. Like
I would rather be blind than deaf.
Yeah.
Yes, because I can still hear music. I can still hear, you know, nature. I can still interact with those around me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And I'm sure your hearing, you know, from everything I've heard, like, is enhanced due to, you know, your brain having that extra space to hear things. Do you hear stuff that most people don't?
Well, it's muscle memory, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's much like, okay, if you were paralyzed, right? Say from your waist down, right? You would have to use your arms a lot more. Therefore, your upper body, you know, would physically be stronger.
Right.
You'd be more diesel that way. You feel me?
Right.
So, I mean, it's the same way. Like, it's not that it's naturally enhanced. It's something that you work at and you build because you have no choice.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, damn.
I'm
sure that's been, and especially being a battle rapper, like, do you get the rundown on what people look like and shit? Like,
Yo, check it out. I'm gonna keep it all the way real with you, right, bro? What I normally do is I kick it around people and I just smoke blunts with them and, you know what I'm saying, do a couple shots and people start talking to me, just having conversations. Like, and it's not necessarily that they're giving me the rundown. They just look at me and they're like, so this motherfucker that you're gonna battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, look, so I knew him a long time ago. I went to middle school with the motherfucker, right? You know what I'm saying? He used to get beat up. Well, they'll tell you all kind of shit, right? Just they'll tell you his real name. Like, look, when I went for the champion thing on 106 in Park, right? When I won the last battle and shit, I literally went to Homeboy's neighborhood and just kicked it with some of his people and just smoked kush with them and just talked. And
that's
they would just tell
fucking dope, dude. That is dope. Doing like reconnaissance, basically.
Yeah, basically. Call of Duty type shit.
Damn, bro. That's fucking fire. That's fucking fire. And you got some intel, I'm guessing, from doing that.
Right. I mean, that's the only way that you can do it, man. You know? I mean, and even like, you know, because people bring up the MTV shit that I did back in the day. Like, I only knew that dude was wearing the same sweater because my homeboy came to me and he was like, yo, bro, listen. So that sweater old boy got on right now, it's the same sweater he had on yesterday. He just turned it inside out. It's one of those like reversible deals. I was like, how do you know that? He's like, just trust me. And he got a pick in his head because he didn't get his like, and people were just talking mad shit like the other battlers. And I wasn't really saying shit and kicking it with them because I don't like people a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was just kind of doing my own thing, you know what I'm saying? Chilling in the little MTV green room, smoking my little blunt, minding my business. And I was just listening to people talk shit. So I would just gather the intel. And that was what it was.
Damn, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. But I mean, clearly that skill set has worked. pretty fucking well for you.
I mean, it's helped me be the fan of some of the dopest rappers who turn out to be the fan of me, which really to this day, Christian, I'm as a person, Steven, right, who is me, I feel really weird like when rappers that I listen to, they be like, yo, Blind Fury, listen, I was a kid and I was watching you on 106 in Park. I'm like, wait, I was just listening to your music an hour ago, like, and you're on. I mean, I'm trying to get where you at. It's
How cool is that though, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what you realize sometimes. Like, I've encountered people, and I'm like, oh, they're not gonna know who I am, and they're like, yo, Webby, like, yo, I fuck with your shit. I used to listen to your mixtape, and I'm just like, really? Oh man, that's so cool. Like, you know, like, I always, I mean, I think it's for me, like, partially being like the white rapper syndrome that everyone in my era like kind of dealt with, and you know, just assuming that like nobody fucks with you when you step in the room, and you have to like get them to like you by rapping. And then you get to a point where it's like people like actually fuck with you already, and I'm just like so not used to it. Even still, I'm just like, damn man, like thanks for the compliment. That's really nice. I wasn't expecting that. You know, it's I got shit on so much when I was coming up that you just like, you know, I think that built a certain type of complex in my head, which isn't necessarily healthy, but I've definitely used it to my advantage, and it's definitely kept me focused because I know how to like take negative energy and use that shit as fuel. So, you know, for better or for worse, that's just what kind of my come up was. You know, everybody wanted to hate me until I rapped, and then they were like, all right, yeah, he was pretty good. You know?
I still haven't learned to take a compliment properly, Webby, because like it makes me feel weird sometimes. Like, okay, like when the homie hit me up the other day, because like I don't run the Instagram as much as like, you know what I'm saying, my homie Troy and like, you know, whatnot. Homie hits me up and is like, yo, so Chris Webby agreed to do the vlog. And I'm like, word? Chris Webby knows who the fuck I am. Like, word? That's cool as shit. And like, it took me a minute to really kind of sit there and just process all that. Cause I was like, I wanted to be like, oh shit, that's fucking dope. But then I'm also a grown ass man. So I wanted to be
yeah, of course. But no, it's cool, man. It really is. And that's dope to know that you're a fan of mine. I was like equally like, oh shit, that's fucking awesome. You know what I'm saying? I hit my boy who I used to watch Freestyle Friday with all the time. I'm like, yo, I'm doing an interview with Blind Fury. He was like, that's fucking sick. You know, so yeah, man, it's both sides of that. You know what I mean? That's awesome. Mutual respect.
Listen, I'm gonna pour some more Jameson real quick, and I want you to talk to me about what's coming up for Chris Webby, what I can expect, what we can expect as fans.
Okay, so I mean, I'm going to stay on course. I have so much music in the vault. I got some dope features. I'm waiting on some more to come in. I need to get one from you. So let's make that happen soon. You know? And
I need one back from you then. So then we can do that bar for bar. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm down. Track for track. Send over whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
But yeah, man, definitely trying to just keep the ball rolling as much as I can during COVID, bro. It's like, you know what I mean? My hands are tied in so many categories, but you know, I've been doing a bunch of limited merch drops, been dropping a ton of music, you know, staying in the studio, staying working, staying writing. Like, it's the only thing that'll keep me sane aside from video games and, you know, a quality television show. You know, it's about it, you know?
Yeah, I got you, man. So what's the production gonna look like, man? Who are you gonna be working with?
I'm pretty much locked in with JP on the track, who is my guy. And we started working together when he was like 16 back in like 2015. And he's now 21, and I don't know if the math was right on that, but it might have been. And he is so fucking good. It's unreal. He's part of the new generation where, you know, when you grow up with things at your access when you're young and your brain is still like this, do shit beating wise so fucking fast. It blows my mind. And he literally, you know, we've been doing creative retreats. That's kind of how we've been getting the most music at once, you know, kind of getting the biggest catch, if you will. And we've been doing these retreats. So we've been like gathering, you know, the creative side of the organization and going somewhere cool, bringing some mushrooms and, you know, some drinks, some weed, and locking in. I've been taking a lot of mushrooms during this quarantine. That's definitely, yeah. Oh, dude, microdosing / like a little more than microdosing is the shit.
Exactly.
Opens the mind.
Dude,
But
listen,
we've been doing
wait. I want to talk to you later on about how I saw aliens the last time I took Zoomers, but we'll talk about that later on.
Okay, sounds good. But yeah, man, like doing these retreats where you just get everybody in the room, man, the vibe is just there. You know, it's incredible. And we've been doing that and making a ton of music. But JP will, like, you know, he'll make a beat, we'll lay the hook down, we'll go outside, smoke some weed or something, be talking about it. And when we come back in, he's already working on the next beat. It's like, it's bananas, you know, playing out the chords on a guitar or something like that, or on a bass. He's like a machine. He's unreal. So production wise, it's pretty much like nothing against other producers. It's just like, I haven't needed anybody but JP really all year for the most part. We just been rocking, bro. And just like, staying focused on all of this music, man, trying to make sure every song, because of course I drop in a pretty high quantity, but you never want to sacrifice quality when you do that. So I make sure that, you know, we do not miss a step. Everything is looked at again, make sure everything is tweaked just perfectly, mixed proper, mastered every little detail, you know what I mean? We really fucking comb through this shit and make sure it's perfect, at least to our standard, you know? And that's really important to me, man. Quality control is huge, because you hear a lot of people, and you know, a lot of people who also drop consistently, I just feel like they don't match the quality that I got, you know? And that's nothing against them, as you know, it is what it is.
So really quick, before I run out of things to talk about and start asking you if you have anything to talk about, right?
I do have 1 or 2 questions from people online.
Well,
if we have time
I'll get to those.
Yeah,
but so I've told you what my favorite Wednesday was, which is next
Yes.
Wednesday.
And next Wednesday is definitely, I would say, the most aggressive. You know, that was like coming off of Raw Thoughts was on the first album, but like. Yes. That was towards the end of the year. I did the Sway freestyle. It was a very fuck mumble rap, fuck everybody year. You know what I mean? And like, the album covers red, you know, everything, all the single artworks were red. It was a very aggressive year. And you know, career wise, it was also an aggressive year of like a lot of touring and insanity. So, but yeah, I definitely, like, I was pissed off that year at a lot of people, it seems. Whereas Wednesday After Next, the next album is, you know, more about kind of getting comfortable in the role of running the business, you know?
What is your favorite Wednesday?
It's a good question, man. It's hard to say, man. At this point, there's good songs on all of them. You know, I think there's highlight moments on all of them. You know, it's like picking your favorite kid, you know? That's what I always say when people ask me what my favorite songs. I know the ones that I don't like, you know, but like there's a lot that I like a lot, and for different reasons too, you know what I mean? Some of them mean something to me on a more sentimental level. Some of them I just think are the best bangers that you know, if I was to put something on at a party and just have everybody jamming, it's hard to say, man. And you know, I know you can't see it, but I got a whiteboard over here that is full of all the other songs that I'm working on, which is, I literally, you know, just to give you an idea, probably a good like 40 songs that are currently in the works. So, you know, shit don't stop. So instead of like sitting back and thinking about what my favorite is, I just keep going. I just keep moving. I don't take a lot of time to relish in my victories. You know, sometimes you take a day. Like I had my 10th annual Black Friday show in Connecticut, you know, which that was a big deal. So, you know, I took that weekend off after that and was like, fucking killed it, 10 years, sold out, you know. But you can't sit around and talk about the things you've done forever. It's about what have you done recently? That's how the fans think. That's how the consumer thinks. You know what I mean? It's not about, yeah, I crashed Dat Piff. If I was still walking around talking about that, who the fuck would give a shit? You know? Yeah. It's about, you know, what have I done recently? And that's, if you stay thinking about that, man, it just keeps you going, you know? And then you have the occasional night where you sit back and have a drink and you're like, wow, man, I've done some crazy things in my life. Like it's pretty wild that I've managed to accomplish these things. But you know,
You just reminded me of something really quick, actually. So I've done a couple of grind mode ciphers, right? Are you familiar with my?
yeah, I've done. I did a couple grind mode ciphers as well.
Yeah, and so my friend Lingo, who is the owner of grind mode, we're sitting and we're chatting and we're chilling. He's like, "Yo, man, you remind me so much of Chris Webby," and I'm like, "Wait, why exactly?" He said, "Well." And okay, we were in Savannah, Georgia, right? And apparently where we were shooting grind mode at, you could buy drinks inside these bars and you could leave out and go outside the bars with your drinks and just walk with them along this little boardwalk area, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
So I have this little red solo cup full of Jameson, right? And I'm going and I'm walking around and like Lingo is just like filming me freestyle. And he's like, "Yo, you're so much like Chris Webby, except for he had a whole bottle of Jameson when he was out here doing his grind mode." I said,
well, and what's crazy is, yes, like me and Jameson hand in hand. I feel like you find your liquor at a point in life, like the one that keeps you, it's not Jameson for everybody. I know some people who drink Jameson and go get in a fight. For whatever reason, Jameson just, my body synthesizes it well, and I remain in control. And yeah, I like the taste. But I'm not a big drinker in real life. Like I'm a big drinker when I'm on tour. I'm a big drinker when I need to be social and like go out and be places. But now that I've been locked in quarantine, man, I've probably only drank like 8 times, like since lockdown. You know what I mean? And only a couple of those times were like big drinking nights. Because it's just like it's not my it's not my cup of tea unless I need to be social, really. But with that said, when I'm on tour, I am an absolute fucking animal and drink a fucking bottle of Jameson, 3/4, half bottle of Jameson every goddamn night. And the key is in terms of pacing, because I got a long set. My set is like an hour and a half long, so. You got to have a little bit before you go on stage, right?
A little bit. Just a little
right. But you don't want to go out fucking drunk. You got a long show ahead of you. So it's about going out with the bottle, because when you drink out of the bottle, you're able to like regulate your sips much more accurately than when you drink out of a cup. So much so that we have a thing on tour where sometimes they don't let you go out with a bottle on stage. In a few states, they have rules and restrictions about that. And we call them cup night. And whenever we have a cup night, it is a guarantee that I'm going to be 2 to 3 times drunker than I would be if I had the bottle.
Right. I feel you on that shit.
And I don't know why that is. It's just something about drinking out of cups. I don't know. But I when I go out with the bottle, it's like I know how to pace myself throughout the show where I get drunker and the set is set up for me to, it gets more intense as the drunkenness, you know what I mean? It's fun, man. I got the drummer on stage with me. When I do Connecticut, man, I have the full band. It's wild, dude. We had keys, bass, my dad on guitar, drums, DJ. It was a fucking whole production. We had the screen behind it, and every song had a different visual to it.
Dude, listen, I'm an excellent keyboardist. I didn't know.
No shit. I did not. That's awesome.
So if you ever need like a secondary keyboardist, like your keys don't work out for whatever reason, I'm always down, man. No
doubt. That's what's up, man. I wish I could travel with a full band all the time.
Me too.
But like, that's you know what I mean? I own the Sprinter van. I got the trailer and shit, but there's like, it just comes down to, it's like we got drummer, DJ, tour manager, me, merch guy, camera guy, security, usually an opener or two. I want to say that. What else is there? Maybe somebody else. It's usually like 10 people. It's
easily.
It's a whole production, man. People don't even realize like it's really expensive to tour too. And that's something that's really tough for artists when they're first starting out, because it's really hard to tour when you're not making a ton of money. And that's something that I was used to for a long time. I mean, I was going out getting fucking $2,000, $2,500 a show a lot of times for a lot of years. And like, that is really hard to bring both a full production and be getting paid that. But you find your loopholes. You sell your merch. You sell your meet and greets. Now we do all access. We do like 50 meet and greets and 10 all access, which are like 200 a ticket, where it's like you get to come backstage and hang out, you know? And I try to make sure, regardless of the night, that I give those people the attention that they deserve and paid for. You know, sometimes it's tough. Every night is different on the road. Sometimes you're a little bit late. Sometimes it's this, that, the other thing. But I try to always make sure that everyone leaves the venue with a fucking smile on their face saying, damn, that was a fucking awesome night, you know?
Webby, I'm going to tell you something, man. I appreciate the fuck out of you doing this, man.
Of course, man.
More than you ever fucking know, man. I want you to send me whatever you want me to get on. I'll send you what I want you to get on.
Sounds good to me.
You want to tell anybody anything else, man, before we head out of here?
I mean, just stay tuned, man. Just stay tuned, because I am always working. I am always fucking working, bro. And I think with that said as well, you know, I've come to a realization in the past week or so that I think it's about time for another Raw Thoughts. You know, with the world where it is, you know, there's a lot of people that need to get the wrath right now, you know, and it's just part of the reason I haven't come out with the new Raw Thoughts yet is because I feel like so much information is still being digested, and you never want to say something that you're going to have to take back because you were wrong. So part of me is sitting back and waiting for all the facts to align, because there's a lot of shit that we have been misled on. We can't trust the media. We can't trust the people running things. We can't trust the people going against the people running things. We can't trust fucking nobody who is giving us information nowadays, and which is very scary times. You know, it's damn near apocalyptic, where you can't trust anything you're being told. So you want to make sure that when you're going at people, you got the facts, you know, and I think that's really important. But with that said, yeah, I do think there's a lot of people that need to get aired out right now, like a lot. So, yeah.
I can't wait to hear it, Webby. Like I say, man, I appreciate having you on, bro. Much love to you.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, bro. I mean that shit.
Definitely. And I'll have something over to you as soon as I cook something that, you know, feels right. I'll get it to you ASAP.
Then I'm going to do the same thing.
Awesome. And I'll get my number over. I'll DM my number over so you can just hit me direct.
I'll hit you. All right. Later, dude.
Awesome.
Man.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Peace.